Now, even though I think it's safe to say that a lot of us are huge fans of the different covered call style ETFs out there, I think it's obvious that some of these covered call style ETFs are built much better and offer a much more conducive strategy to market conditions than others. And over the years, when it comes to the different covered call style ETFs out there, I definitely learned that it's very important to dig deep into the strategy and ask yourself, does this ETF have the potential to grow over time and also pay me a boatload of income consistently? Well, in this video, I think I might have came across the best covered call style ETF across the entire market as of right now. This ETF offers one of the best strategies I've seen across covered call ETFs, and along with that, this ETF has grown a lot and also paid a ton of income to investors. So if you want to dig into this covered call style ETF that I'm obsessed with as of recent, make sure to stick around, drop a like down below, and let's get right into it. So real quick, for those that haven't already, make sure to go to the first link in my description and grab my new dividend investing ebook, where I share exactly how I went from $0 invested to now earning over $6,000 on a monthly basis and over $1 million invested in the market. Along with the ebook, you're also going to receive my custom dividend tracker, where you can track your dividend progress on an ongoing basis and reach your dividend investing goals. So make sure to grab yourself a copy of my dividend investing ebook and the new dividend tracker today. It's the first link in my description. So maybe some of you guys guessed it, but the covered call style ETF that I'm a huge fan of just as of recently is the Goldman Sachs NASDAQ 100 Core Premium Income ETF, or ticker symbol GPIQ. Now, throughout my portfolio for years now, I've held a ton of QYLD, I've held a ton of JEPB and JEPQ. I'm talking, if we combine those three positions alone, over $100,000 worth of market value. So I'm definitely no stranger to covered call style ETFs. I'm a huge fan of them when they're done right, and this ETF, in my opinion, is done very, very well. Now, to show you exactly why I think this is the case, let's dig a little bit deeper into this ETF. It says the objective is to seek current income while maintaining prospects for capital appreciation. Now, that basically is my entire objective for my long-term portfolio. I want the portfolio to grow over time and to move up in price, but I also want a boatload of income coming into my portfolio every single month and or every single quarter. Now, it then says seeks consistent monthly distributions, aims to generate a consistent monthly distribution rate, generally from options, premium, and equity dividends. It also says core equity exposure with lower volatility, provides core equity exposure to the NASDAQ 100 index, and dynamically sells call options, allowing for participation with rising markets and potential outperformance in negative to flat markets. Now, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into what this means, so put a bookmark there. And lastly, it says seeks to deliver attractive income with lower correlation to traditional income sources and their risks. Now, to see exactly what they mean by this, digging into the actual funds literature, it says to generate income, the fund employs a dynamic options overwrite strategy, whereby the fund sells or writes call options on varying percentage of the market value of the equity investments in the fund's portfolio. And then it says in quotations, the option strategy. The overwrite level, or the ratio of notional value of call options sold by the fund to the market value of equity investments in the fund's portfolio, is generally revised each month, and the fund expects under normal circumstances it will sell call options in the amount of between 25 and 75% of the value of equity investments in the fund's portfolio. So this is by no means a passively managed fund where the fund managers are going to buy into the NASDAQ 100, sell an at-the-money call option, and then set it and forget it. This fund actually has a 25 to 75% target as far as selling call options on the fund, which means if the NASDAQ 100, if the underlying moves up in price, and over time and time again historically it definitely has, this means that this ETF is not only going to offer a potential boatload of income consistently because of this call option strategy, but it's also going to have a ton of upside, which is what we've seen so far in this fund. It then says the fund generally expects to sell call options on underliers that provide economic exposure to the fund's benchmark, such as an ETF that tracks an index and not securities of issuers included in such index and held by the fund. It also says the fund is an actively managed ETF, which is a fund that trades like other publicly traded securities. The fund is not an index fund and does not seek to replicate the performance of a specified index. Now, again, this really depends on what your outlook is on the stock market, but I personally do think that the underlying for GPIQ is going to substantially probably move up in price over time, the NASDAQ 100 that is. So because of that reason, I'm simply a huge fan of this strategy because of the fact that it's not necessarily selling call options on the entire underlying, but just utilizing some of the underlying and generating a ton of income from doing so. Now, on the max time frame since October 23rd of last year, this ETF is up 23.12% as far as price return goes, and I'm going to show you the total return here in a second. It's pretty massive. Now, as far as the amount of dividends, distributions, the payouts this ETF has offered to investors so far, we're pretty much clocking in at around 38 to 40 cents, 41, 42 cents every single month, which as a side note, I absolutely love the fact that this ETF, this fund, is trying to pay investors sort of a steady amount, at least so far. This could of course change, but something like GPIQ or GPIQ pays investors basically based off of the previous month's performance. I think if I'm not mistaken, where this ETF more or less uses a target and pays investors a consistent amount. Now, just based on these recent payoffs and going off of the current price of GPIQ, some simple math in my head, I think this is near a 10% yield, which is massive, especially knowing that this ETF has grown around 23+% on the max time frame. Now, I'm sure you guys are also curious about total return goes, which is dividends, payouts, and price return included. Now, of course, this can change, but at least so far on the 1 year time frame, 337 days so far, which is a relatively short amount of time, we're talking 34.88% total return. Don't get me wrong, I know there's other ETFs and stocks across the market that might be able to outperform something along these lines, but I still personally think for certain an investor that's looking for a lot of income ASAP, 38 cents, 39 cents, 40 cents consistently per month, you're not really going to find something much better than this. An ETF that's grown over time significantly, has a rock solid strategy, tracks a very high quality index. I think this ETF honestly in the next 5 years has the potential to be outperforming pretty much every single thing else in its class. Now again, I do think that if you're very bullish on the NASDAQ 100, then maybe this covered call style ETF won't be the right one for you. But if you're bullish on the NASDAQ 100, if you think it's going to trade sideways / up over the next several years, then this ETF strategy for the most part is going to offer investors a boatload of income consistently every single month, but along with that, a ton of potential for upside because of the fact that the ETF dynamically sells call options on some of, but not all of the fund. So now that we went over one of my favorite covered call style ETFs as of recent, an ETF that I've been adding to my portfolio like crazy over the past few months, and talked about exactly how this ETF works, I lastly want to hear from you guys down below. I want to know if you're currently buying GPIQ as far as a covered call ETF style play, or if not, what are some of your favorite covered call style ETFs across the market as of right now that I should look into? Drop them in my comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.